Everyone.
In general, the case is about fraud, and the claim is that the investors felt that they were defrauded by Musk's tweet that he was considering taking Tesla private, and critically, that he had funding secured for it. That turned out not to be the case, so when the stock price rose after the news, they allegedly bought, and then it collapsed when the truth came out. They claimed that that was fraud. Yeah, he's acquiring expertise in courtroom behavior, I suspect. But it's not a criminal trial, so it's a civil trial. They can call him as a witness, and obviously what he has to say is going to be very germane to whether the jury concludes that this was a material misstatement in his tweet. You know, this case is somewhat unusual in that the judge has already ruled that the statement funding secured was false. The main issue for the jury is going to be whether it was material, which legally can be thought of as, was this the type of false statement that investors would actually act on? And the primary defense is going to be that, well, he said, you know, he was also considering taking Tesla private, which was true, and maybe that's why the stock price moved so much that day. That's why investors were buying Tesla shares that day. It's very unusual for a corporate executive to tweet in the indiscriminate manner that Musk does. Generally, you would have tweets that relate to a company and its business vetted pretty carefully by internal counsel before they're released to the public. For precisely the reason that these plaintiffs claim they are injured, because they rely on these statements as the word of the company and the word of the executive. I think the deck is probably stacked against Musk, given that the judge has already ruled that it was a false statement, and that it's going to have to make a compelling case that this statement that funding secured wasn't material when it was roughly $70 billion of funding necessary for this buyout. So I would imagine that most investors would want to know if he was considering taking Tesla private, if he had the funds to do it.
Look, I think this has been a black eye for Musk in terms of that tweet. And I think when it comes to investors, they definitely clearly have a case. I think they're surprised that Musk is not settling here. And ultimately, this is really going to be a Game of Thrones battle in court. And it's not a good look for Musk. And it's really been what I would say a dark chapter that just continues to now get a light shined on it here in court. I think Musk has had clear attention issues with Twitter. It's been an overhang on Tesla stock. And I think that's really been a big issue for investors here. And I think for Musk, after a Cinderella ride the last 3 to 4 years, clearly seeing some cracks in the armor. And this is really a fork in the road year for Musk and Tesla in 2023. I think Musk is the hearts and lungs of Tesla. But over the last 6 to 9 months with Twitter, he's hurt the brand, and it's been a clear overhang and distraction. You go back to the tweet in 2018, I think that started some of the Musk antics. That's now actually just accelerated since he owns Twitter. And that's been a frustration for investors and a big part of the stock sell-off over the last 6 months. Tesla's one of the most transformational companies in the world today, but they need a CEO. They want Musk to ultimately get a CEO of Twitter, stop the sideshow and really the soap opera, and get back to Tesla. Because ultimately, competition's increasing across the board in this EV arms race, with a recession likely on the doorstep. This is not the time for Musk to take his eye off the ball with Tesla. I think every time Musk tweets, it's just more controversy, and that's more brand damage to Tesla. When you're selling to the masses, brand damage is not something that you want. And ultimately, Musk has really gone from the superhero on Wall Street to right now a villain in terms of what we've seen the last 6 months. Musk fighting this in court, I think, is a disaster scenario because this was a black eye moment that now just gets more and more of a spotlight, something investors want to put in the rearview mirror.